As a canine and feline nutritionist, I see a ton of homemade recipes for dogs and cats online. And unfortunately, a lot of these recipes include ingredients that seem healthy to us humans, but for dogs and cats, they can actually be harmful. The first one has the potential of killing your pet. What is it? Peanut butter. What? But pets, especially dogs, love peanut butter. Pet owners feed it all the time, so how could it be that dangerous? Well, let's take a closer look at peanut butter. Peanut butter is made from peanuts, which are very high in fat. And as it turns out, fat is the ideal energy source for dogs and cats. But the problem is the kind of fat that peanut butter provides. And studies have found that this kind of fat in peanut butter links to chronic inflammation, diabetes, and heart disease in humans. So it's scary to think about what it could be doing to our pets' bodies. What is it? Trans fat. Trans fat is rarely found in nature. It's created through the chemical manipulation of natural fats, and it helps to preserve the shelf life of processed foods like peanut butter. But there's some major downsides to chemically manipulated fat. Studies have shown that high consumption of trans fats can increase the risk of heart disease in humans and trigger pancreatitis in pets. But that's not the only problem with peanut butter. The ingredients that are added to many peanut butters are also a huge health concern. And one of the worst ones is sugar. It's bad in excess for most animals and completely unnecessary for dogs and cats. Did you know cats can't even taste sugar? Okay, well, we can just swap to a sugar-free peanut butter instead. Many brands offer peanut butter with sugar-free sweetener alternatives, like this one, which contains xylitol. But I beg you, don't feed this. Sugar may be unhealthy to feed pets, but xylitol is deadly. And in a matter of an hour, can cause your pet's blood sugar to drop, severely damage their liver, and potentially kill them. So when I say peanut butter can kill your pet, this is what I mean. If you need to add fat to their diet, some better sources are raw animal fat, ghee, goat cheese, and unseasoned grass-fed butter. The second ingredient can cause dramatic weight gain and may even lead to diabetes. Rice. Rice is absolutely everywhere in pet food. It's in dry foods, canned foods, cooked foods, and even homemade recipes on the internet, and causes a lot of fighting among pet owners. Take a second and think about a cat that you know. Now, did they look more like this cat or this cat? Odds are you pictured a cat that looked more like this cat, because this is what most cats look like nowadays. This cat is clinically obese. Since 2018, dog obesity has increased 59%, and cat obesity has increased 61%. And many believe the culprit is the amount of carbohydrates in commercial pet food. Dry pet food, which very often contains rice or something similar, ranges from 20 to 50% carbohydrates. But studies show that dogs, and especially cats, can't digest and utilize carbohydrates as well as many other mammals can. So instead of being converted into energy, most of the carbohydrates are converted into fat. And this is a big contributor to obesity in pets. But obesity isn't the only thing on the rise in pets, though. According to the North American veterinary community, diabetes is rising faster in pets than in humans. And one of the leading causes of diabetes is actually what we just talked about, obesity. And a big contributor to obesity, which leads to diabetes in humans, is processed sugary foods because they spike blood sugar levels. Diabetics can't control their blood sugar levels well, so a spike like this can be very dangerous. Okay, that's an interesting fact, but what does this have to do with pets and rice? Well, what if I told you that rice can spike the blood sugar the same way sugary foods do? This all comes down to something called the glycemic index. This index shows how quickly different foods can cause the blood sugar to spike. With a ranking of 100 being pure sugar, white rice falls at 72. So even though rice isn't a processed sugary food, it can still spike the blood sugar significantly if the diet contains a lot of it. According to nutritional standards of cats and dogs, carbohydrates aren't even considered essential in their diet. So rice really isn't necessary to feed. Okay, fine, no rice. But what if you still want to feed some sort of plant-based ingredient? Let me stop you there, because this third ingredient can make your pet become nutrient deficient even if you're feeding them all the nutrients they need. And this ingredient is vegetables. Vegetables also take up a big chunk of commercial and homemade pet food. A popular one added to pet food is the leafy green spinach. And a few other common veggies in pet food are things like peas and beans, which are classified as legumes. These vegetables are consumed by us humans for their vitamins, minerals, and protein. But what if I told you, instead of providing pets with nutrients, a vegetable like spinach can cause anemia instead? Let me explain. Carnivorous animals like dogs and cats require a specific form of iron in their diet, heme iron. And this iron is only found in animal-based ingredients. The iron in plant-based ingredients is in the form non-heme iron, which carnivores and even omnivores have a difficult time absorbing. So if you're feeding spinach to provide iron to the diet, your pet may become iron deficient. Red meats and organs, especially spleen, provide ample amounts of heme iron. The other harmful vegetable in commercial and homemade diets can lead to a protein deficiency, which stunts growth, dulls the coat, and causes muscle loss. Legumes, specifically things like peas, beans, and chickpeas. Well, that's a bold claim, especially because many pet food companies use legumes as a healthier alternative to rice because it's higher in protein. But there's a problem. Not all protein sources can be treated equally. Protein isn't a single nutrient. It's made up of a bunch of amino acids, which are the building blocks of protein. And amino acids help with growth, muscle repair, organ function, and so much more. The problem is, certain foods don't provide all essential amino acids. And if they do, they're in super small amounts. I'll give you a visual by comparing the amino acid profiles of something like cooked peas to raw beef. As you can see, the meat is at least 5 times higher in most of the amino acids pets need. So you would need to feed 5 times the amount of peas just to get close to the amount beef provides. And even then, it's still not enough to prevent a deficiency. The digestibility score is another way to tell a good protein source, because an easily digested food can be broken down and absorbed properly. So let's look at the digestible, indispensable amino acid scores of different foods. As you can see, animal-derived ingredients are the highest scoring foods on this list. However, cooked peas are unfortunately very low. By the way, this chart shows the digestibility for humans, which are omnivores. And according to the NRC, carnivores have lower digestibilities of poorly digestible proteins like beans, cereals, and plant byproducts. So if peas are this low on the digestibility score for humans, imagine how poorly digestible peas are for dogs and cats. Okay, let me make this clear. Not all vegetables are bad. Leafy greens, broccoli, and even starchy vegetables like butternut squash provide some great benefits, like healthy fiber for instance. But should they take up a large portion of your pet's diet, like many homemade recipes you see online? No. If you want to get a better idea on what a true species-appropriate diet is for dogs and cats, watch these videos where I go over a recipe I recommend and explain each ingredient in great detail.